So hair thinning. Given the number of people who've chatted to me recently about the fact they're worried about their hair thinning, and most of them have been women, clearly shows that hair thinning is not just a male problem, it's a female one. And classically, sometimes when we think of thinning hair, we do think of a man with a bald head. Women do also get hair thinning, but it tends to be a quite different pattern. And most of the time it's a global or overall thinning of the hair as opposed to bald patches. And that's not to say there aren't women out there who do have bald patches, but generally speaking, we tend to get more of a thinning. And if we think about hair and think about our own hair, we tend to know what's normal for us. So obviously whenever you brush your hair or wash your hair, it's completely normal to have some hair fall. And for some of us, it's quite a lot, and for others, it's not so much. And really, whenever you start to notice a difference in that, then that's probably a time to take notice. If we think about hair grows really through 3 stages. And the first stage is really a growth phase, and that can last anything from 2 to 8 years. So an individual hair will grow for that long. And then the second phase of hair growth is quite a short phase, and that's whenever the hair stops growing and is just getting ready to be exuded from the hair follicle. And then the final phase is whenever that hair is actually expulsed, and then the hair follicle goes dormant for about 3 months, and then it starts to grow a new hair. And that's the normal cycle. And as I said, most people will know that whenever they suddenly see a lot of hair on their pillow, or suddenly the shower drain's getting very blocked up, then they know that, it just feels a little bit different. And there's no doubt that hair thinning does happen to everyone as we age. But there are some other reasons why your hair might be thinning. And that may be because you've had a very stressful event. It's interesting, but big stresses like a divorce or a bereavement, people often describe their hair falling out, and that does usually recover, but it can take 6 to 9 months. And that kind of makes sense whenever you think about that cycle that I've just chatted about. The other things that can make a big difference are hormones. And that's a lot of the time whenever women come to see me. If you've suddenly stopped the contraceptive pill, perhaps after being on it for some years, you'll often get some hair loss from that, and it seems to be to do with a big hormonal shift. End of pregnancy often brings quite a lot of hair loss as well, and the menopause and perimenopause seems to cause the same. Autoimmune conditions such as lupus can also cause hair thinning. Scalp conditions like psoriasis or eczema. So if you've got psoriasis anywhere on your body or eczema, it may well be that actually it's impacting your scalp. And then there's also a subset of people who have no psoriasis anywhere else, but they have it on their scalp. And sometimes they think they've just got really bad dandruff. But in fact, actually it is psoriasis, and it does need treatment. Nutritional deficiencies are another one. And I often do also see weight loss, probably for the same reason, but more extreme, in my patients who've had extreme weight loss. So sometimes in patients with eating disorders, or someone who has been diagnosed with a cancer and has had a dramatic amount of weight loss, we'll see hair thinning and hair loss then too. Another hormone that can cause hair loss is a thyroid problem. And that's not infrequently seen, not only on the hair on the head, but sometimes you will actually start to lose your eyebrows, especially the outer third of the eyebrows. There are some medications that seem to make people much more prone to losing their hair. So again, it's definitely worth having a look. If you're being prescribed some medications, it's definitely worth having a chat with your doctor to see whether something that you're on may be contributing. The other things that are probably a little bit rarer in this part of the world are ringworm. It's probably one of the commonest causes worldwide of hair loss or bald patches, even in children. So what are we going to do about it, and what are we going to do to treat it? Well, we need to think about the cause. So obviously, if you've got a lot of stress in your life, it's very easy for people to tell you not to stress, but actually making that happen is also extremely difficult. If you've got a hormonal issue after pregnancy, or if you've just stopped the contraceptive pill, then obviously there's probably very little that you're going to do, because you've got to wait for those natural hormone levels to settle Usually you'll have stopped the contraceptive pill for a reason, so you're unlikely to want to take some more hormones in replacement. Treating inflammatory or autoimmune conditions, replacing vitamins that you might be deficient in are all going to be helpful. There are some prescription and over-the-counter treatments that you can get to help this. Things like minoxidil, which it comes in a shampoo or a foam. There's medications called finasteride or spironolactone, which is more commonly known as a fluid tablet or a diuretic that sometimes helps people with things like heart failure. It can be used really quite successfully to help with hair. Platelet-rich plasma is another treatment that we don't completely understand why it works, but it seems to. Low-level LED light also seems to work. And then in more extreme cases, there's hair transplants. The other things that we have to think about are you doing anything else that might be contributing to your thinning hair? So I definitely have a couple of patients who are compulsive hair pullers. So they tend to pull their hair out when they're watching TV or whenever they're stressed out. And sometimes they even do it while they're sleeping and they're not aware that they're doing it. And another cause with hair pulling is having your hair pulled back too tightly, like in a bun or in a high ponytail with a lot of tension in your hair. And in fact, that actually can cause permanent restriction of growth. So strongly advise you that if you love having your hair up, that you definitely give your hair a rest on a regular basis. So you're not having all that traction on your scalp all the time. There are quite a few vitamins that seem to make a difference in hair loss. So vitamin A, C, E, B7, which is also called biotin, zinc, selenium and iron. They're all considered essential vitamins for hair growth. And therefore it would seem that if you make sure you're well topped up on that, that's going to help your hair. Omega-3 fatty acids and pumpkin seed oil in some trials has also been shown to be helpful. I think the thing about hair thinning is it often does lead to a bit of loss of confidence. People get really, really anxious that they're going to go completely bald. And often for women, I would say that, hair is often very important. People enjoy styling their hair, how their hair looks. They become worried that they're not going to be able to colour or cut their hair in case it's going to make the situation worse. I do think you need to be gentle with your hair, and if you're someone who's using a lot of heat-based products or very aggressively bleaching your hair, it is definitely something that you need to take a little bit of a step back from. But certainly cutting your hair or, gently looking after it is definitely not going to make this worse. The good news is that actually for a lot of women who have hair thinning, it actually does get better. So whatever hormonal phase you're in improves or your hormones even out and hair starts to regrow again. So for the vast majority of women, actually they don't need to do very much about it. Just take some time. So one of the commonest questions that I've got asked since we've begun recording podcasts are, what do I do with myself at my clinics, apart from when I'm working as a GP in my GP clinic? So at my clinics that are called You by Dr Shauna Watts, the clinic is centered around you, and it's all about making everyone who comes, but that's mostly middle-aged women, feel more confident and to help people navigate what I find is the overly complicated world of skincare. No one knows where to start, what's real, what's not, what's going to help, what's not. Various treatments in terms of wrinkles and skin laxity and skin tightening and pigmentation and discoloration and what they should have and whether it'll help them. So basically my role in that is to create a bit of a plan and a journey for you to get you to the point where you're back feeling confident and healthy and happy in the skin you're in. The clinics are based on the Central Coast and in Newcastle, and we would love for you to come and visit us and have a no obligation consultation to see where that journey might take you.